And we shall see the Karnak temple, which is the largest temple man had ever built. The largest. Why this temple is the largest? Because it took 2,000 years to be finished. 20 centuries until we built that temple. So it's not only one temple, but many temples inside each other. And the work on that temple started at 2000 before Christ until the beginning of the Christianity. So from 4,000 years ago to 2,000 years ago. So this will be our program today. We shall see Karnak temple, and after see the Karnak temple, we come back to the boat, because we don't know where the boat is going to be, and because there's no parking place for the boat. And dinner tonight will be at 8 o'clock as usual, and tomorrow we will get up at 6 o'clock and 6:30 breakfast. 7 o'clock we go to the west side of the Nile. The same like we did today. You know, you might remember it was not hot, it was very good. We saw it for temple, and we were not only the only ones, it was also all the people do the same thing. And tomorrow we'll see the Valley of the Kings, the Valley of the Queens, and the Hatshepsut temple. The whole tour takes 4 hours. But we have to evacuate the rooms in the morning before we leave for breakfast. And we will get 3 rooms, 3 cabins, under another 3 cabins. They're going to be with us all the time until we leave the boat to the airport, where they put the luggage in, and you could take shower in the air, because you have to clean the rooms for a new group which is coming. That's a custom in all the ships. You check in whenever you come. It's not at 12 o'clock as usual. You could be check in at 7 in the morning, because other group already have evacuated the rooms. That's a custom of all the ships here. No, all ships. But they still give us
بس يا مينا تونس يا كمبرارا يا سبب يا ايش
picture. That's why, for example, if you look at those pillars about like 6 feet high, you see the same cartouche everywhere, right? So all over. So if it was destroyed in one pillar, it's still intact in other ones. So that's why. But anyway, all the cement reconstructions does not show any reliefs. Just plain cement and no restoration for the cartouches. The church, it's in. That's why I'm trying to show you in every temple something new. It's not always the same picture. Who is that? Who is that? Because you know who is that. It's going to be so silly when I tell you the king in front of the God gave him life, gave him.
Not even from temple to temple. I mean, in this temple, everywhere.
Everywhere, the same like the Church of Rome, the Church of Paris, the Church of the States. All of them the same design. Altar, seats for the audience, and it's the same.
When people make the pilgrimage to the temples, why do they walk?
In Egypt, each pillar is 24 meters high. The capital of each pillar is enough for 100 men together to stand up. 100 men together stands at one time on the top of one of those pillars. You might see that the pillars in the middle, they have open capitals. This is the pure Egyptian pillars, which represent the bundle of papyrus and lotus, and you might see under every capital the same horizontal lines. When we were in Komombo and Edfu, we did not see the same style. We saw something more modified, more sophisticated, which is composite. It was not only papyrus and lotus, you saw palm leaves, and you saw also grape leaves. It was just a bundle of different things. And I told you this was Egyptian form, and the Greeks took it from the Egyptians and developed that. And later on the Romans took from the Greeks and developed that. But this form was already there in Egypt. We guess that this pathway is a map for Egypt, where the Nile floods. On the both sides it's flourishing capitals. If you go further away, you might see the capitals and other pillars are smaller and with closed bud. That has a meaning. First meaning, some scientists say that the Karnak hall was roofed, of course. The
said through the different heights between the pillars in the middle and the pillars in the sides, some windows are going to appear to allow side light to come in the temple from the sides. Some other people said no, where the Nile comes. Let's go a bit backward to show you something, please. And beside the number, inside the Arabic word, a number. Could you read this number in Arabic?
Yes, so
One?
it's 1887.
That's very good. How do you know the Arabic numbers?
She's brilliant.
Very good. It's also very important because when you buy gold in Egypt, we have 12 karat only and 18. And both 2 and 8 are similar. It depends on how you read them. That's number 2 and that's number 8. So you might get cheated by buying 12 karat gold and you think it's 18 because you read the stamp upside down. And anyway, the stamp is so small, with even mere eyes you cannot read it. That's why I'm telling you that people do that always in Egypt. They sell 12 and they say it's 18. So that's number 1887, 1887. And this word in Arabic means flood, fayadan. The meaning of that the water of the Nile was 2.6 meters since only 100 years ago. And if you look at the pillars in general, you might see also all the bottom of the pillars is wet from the groundwater and the Nile flood. But if you go further all the way to the top, you might see that again the original Karnak survives. So we had nothing against it when the water of the flood even come all the way to the temple. Because Egypt, it depends on the Nile. If there is no Nile, there should be no Egypt, as you might have seen on the way. It's only green on the both sides. If you go further, it's only desert and nobody live. So we live on this valley because of the Nile. And that's why the floor of the temple always gets higher, as I told you before, because the pharaohs had a belief about the universe. They thought in the very old times there was eternal water. From this water, little island appeared, and the water began swept back step by step until the earth appeared, and birds came from everywhere, and the life started. This is their belief about the universe since billions of years ago. And we excuse the pharaohs because we don't forget that every year it floods, and when the Nile floods, all Egypt will be submerged with the water. And here you see, so in 1887 it was 2.6 meters high. So that was only before 100 years ago. That's why we could see that the temple goes parallel with the land of Egypt. That where the Nile floods, on both sides are flourishing and booming capitals. If you go further to the east or to the west, where the Nile doesn't go, the flowers have closed bud because they have not enough water, which is exactly like a map of Egypt. The temple suffered from an earthquake in 27 before Christ, after which we found this picture. All the pillars were leaning on the wall, except for the walls, because the walls are the strongest part of the temple. So the pillars are right angle, so it's easy to fall down. But if the walls are in this position, they are going to be stronger than anything else. Come this way, please. Wearing short skirts and the knife under the dagger, and the knife under the leg. And before the hand in the first position, which means he's already in a moving position. And he holds in his two hands two weapons. One hand he holds the whip, and the other hand he holds the hawk. By this hawk, he could hold the neck of the enemies, and he beat them with the hand of the whip. This happened to have to do with the together. He had got 12 wives, as you might have heard, 12 wives, and he had got, but the most favorite one was the Queen Nefertari. He loved Nefertari more than the others, and she was the most beloved one. And that's why you see it being so together. This is the most beloved one. Nefertari was the wife of Moses. And as usual, the women were as worker as high as the man, or the man was 4 times as big as the woman. And then they had to work on top, that was where by painting the walls or carving them. And they did not know exactly how long. 400 tons. It's a miracle. architectural miracle to make 400 tons standing upright above muddy floor. We knew first that they did reinforce the floor. I'm going to show you how when you go inside the temple. But how could he make 134 pillars in one time? He did not make a ramp for every pillar as you saw outside by this unfinished ramp. He used another technique, which is they surround every pedestal with a cylinder. This cylinder was about 1 meter away from the pedestal. And between them they throw sand and gravel and rubbish. And they went up with the floor. And they put the second layer of stone in the middle, and also again the same thing, cylinder, and also they put sand between them. And third step, piece of stone and also cylinder, until in the very end I have a mountain or a hill with 134 cylinders, inside them 134 pillars. And you began to work from the top to the bottom by carving the stone. And then you move the cylinder up so it stands the pillar straight. That's how they make the 134 pillars in one time.
What was the stone made out of?
Sandstone. All of them made of sandstone. All the things here made of sandstone or granite. But the cylinder was just only temporary cylinder. If you come over here, do you remember when I told you in Edfu temple this morning that the king should dedicate half of the booty to the god after the war?
Yes.
You should ask me why. Why the god takes half of it?
Why does the guy take half of it?
The answer is here. The king is alone, standing on his chariot, which is very similar to the horse buggy that today you rode, which will show you that the same thing which used since thousands of years still used today. And he shoots all the enemy, and the main god is above his head. The sun sent him during the war the key of life and the scepter, the key of life and scepter alternately. So now the king in the war was protected by the god who is shining above his head and sends to him, instead of rays, the key of life and the scepter. So the god supported the king during the war. That's why he should give him back, should he pay him back for this help. The king shoots the enemy who all of them are falling down. Look at the enemies who are falling down and wounded, injured, and someone helped his colleague by pushing him from the hand. Can you see in the middle? Yeah. He held from the arm, take him out of the battlefield, and the king won. Then he come back to Egypt on his chariot, leading the enemies from the neck and the hands as if they were just dogs. Look at them, their hands tied to the back. Yeah. Look at the fashion of their hair even. Something funny, it's like today, you know that because you're a hairdresser. Like in Europe, the bankier, people make the hair standing like that. Yeah. Huh? All this thing is not new. Since even thousands of years, people have such strange hair standing like a tree above the head. And, and the king lead them who are coming in 3 rows. Look at their faces. Humiliation. He is alone by himself. Of course, he's a liar. He was not alone. But he wants to say that I am only with the God, are the only ones who won against the enemies. And I take all the enemy with me back. This is like a newspaper or a magazine. Huh? Today when the President George Bush or whatever go outside to meet Margaret Thatcher and he come back, what does he make? A conference, he make a conference and meet the journalists and newspaper and tell I have done that and we have done that and people must know what he have done in this trip. The same thing. The king came back from a trip in Africa, sorry this was in Asia, Hittites of Asia, and he should tell people what he have done. He had no newspaper or TV. But this is the only possible TV, as I told you before, the pharaohs use all the surfaces to write down, remember? So here he would like to show us, I am as a Rambo, come back alone. He's alone, huh? This is the same idea of Rambo. When you go alone to fight all the time, the same thing. The king come back alone with all bunch of enemies in 3 rows, tied their hands, and he tried to cross the Nile. Where is the Nile? See the crocodiles?
Yeah.
So that's the Nile, and the Egyptian people on the other side, what they are doing. Hey, salute you, salute, he come by the triumph, and the other Egyptians waiting for him at the other side with tambourine, and they celebrate the victory of the pharaoh. We come back with the triumph. Let's see what I have done by the enemy. With 2 feathers of just above his head, and the king Ramses II, look at the gesture of his hand. The king Ramses II in front of the god, look at the sign of his hand. What does it mean? What does this sign mean? I give you all those things. Which things? Look at behind him. he bring all those prisoners of war to him. The king did not kill the enemies as some people think. He used them as slaves in the temple. In this temple we found some papyrus paper. They tell us that every day there was 82,000 servants, sculptors, carpenters, workers, slaves used to work it every day. And they should leave the temple by the sunset. 82,000 servants. Which power could control? You are 21 person cannot control you. What about one person could control 82,000 people since 3,000 years ago and make such perfect labyrinth? It's a miracle. So here the king Ramses II come back from the war. Behind him, all the presents that he bring to the god. A visit. This is a visit when someone visits you from far distance. Does he come with empty hand or with some presents? So he come back from Asia to the god Ammon, and he presents him all those servants which behind him. Besides that, all those exquisite vases, exquisite vases and jars which made of gold and silver, he gave them to the god. After that, this famous picture of the humiliation of the enemies. The king holds all the enemies in one hand, and he beats all of them with a club above their heads. This picture the Greeks took it from us later on in Isis temple and Ombo temple. They imitated this story, took the end of the story and just put it in the wall of the temples. But it's not Greek, it's Egyptian in origin. And after, of course, the king did not kill the enemies. This is a symbolic picture of the king humiliate all the enemies. And before the king, the god stands. Look at the hands of the god. He gives the king the sickle swords as a reward for his deeds in the war. You are a very good champion, take the sword. And in the other hand, he has a collection of what? Many ropes, ended all of them with what? With this oval. What are these? What the oval means? I was waiting to say that. No, it's not cartouche. You know the cartouche have look like cells? And have those little lions. Do you remember when I told you before that the wall of any town has some pillars in every 5-6 meters to reinforce the wall? Do you remember that? In the museum, even when I show you the silo with many walls, with many pillars. So this is the foreign lands which had been conquered by the pharaoh. They shown by this oval sign with the pillars which are around the wall to reinforce the wall. And above every name of every land, the king, his hands were tied. Look at him. And the king has a collection of many lands had been conquered by Egypt. So the king, in general, dedicate his triumph to the god who is keep adding and adding more conquered countries to be subjugated and humiliated by Egypt. You might know that there's an obelisk in Place de la Concorde in Paris. There's another one in Lateran Square in Rome. Another one also in
Central Park in New York.
Central Park, Park in New York. 6 pieces in Turkey. There are many obelisks in the whole world. One in the one in Paris I mentioned before the Place de la Concorde. So what the obelisk mean? That was a question someone already said it before in Aswan and they ignored him purposely because I want to answer this question later.
Yeah, sure.
Someone said, what the obelisk mean? So then later I'll tell you. Obelisk usually generally is one piece of stone with square sides, not triangle, square sides, and very wide in the bottom and very narrow in the top. Looks like lancer, looks like spear in the top. And usually the top of the obelisk was covered with electrum. You know what electrum is? A mixture of gold and silver. If you mix gold with silver together, that makes electrum. And the Egyptians were the first people in the whole world who mixed the gold and silver together. I look now at the bark, you might see the bark I'm talking about, the bark of the god. Can you see the curve? This is the bark of the god, and at both ends we show head of ram, but the ram is head is not damaged. Nothing left. Yeah. And this was the cabin of the god, which made of pure gold. So the obelisk was covered with electron from the top, and the meaning of that is, when the sun rises in the morning, the sun shines on the top of the obelisk, so the top of the obelisk shines like shining finger. And in the evening, when the moon shines, reflects also the obelisk very beautifully, So the meaning of that God is there day and night. When the sun shines, the obelisk shines. In the evening, when the moon shines, also obelisk shines. So the God is there day and night. So that's the meaning of the obelisk. And the obelisk represents a space rocket. Fly to heavens, carry all my wishes to the gods. You have a wish, and always say, please God help me, as if God in this direction. But this is our human way. We always talk to the sky, we like to talk to God. Although we are in the same earth, which turn around itself. But anyway, this was a space rocket should carry all the wishes, all the hopes of the pharaohs to the gods in the sky to achieve it. This obelisk, this 125 tons made by Tutmosis II. The second obelisk is 325 tons in weight. 325,000 kilograms of stone, one piece. And this one was built by a queen called Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut was the first woman man ruled Egypt. She was a queen, but she was always attired like a man. And the priests convinced people that she's a man, so they had to believe him. Although she was a real woman, a normal woman, and she has a boyfriend, and her boyfriend was called Senmut. He was her private engineer, but she was always shown like a man in front of the public. Although she was a real woman, but if the priest tell you she's a woman, she's a man, you have to believe it, Same thing like comida. Till you go and kill yourself, and the paradise is open to you. So children can go to the war to kill themselves, and they are happy because the paradise is open. So the same thing. This woman was the first woman to rule Egypt, and she has no right to rule Egypt. She made a trick. This trick, I'm going to tell you about it later on tomorrow in Hatshepsut temple, on the other side. By this trick, she ruled Egypt 22 years alone. And she pushed her brother away from the throne. And after 22 years, her brother came to power. And the first of what he have done is to destroy her monuments from everywhere. And then he conquered all the world that was known to Egypt. His name is Tutmosis III. Until now, there are many military institutes teach to their officers the military theories of this man to their officers in the war. He was a military genius, this man, Tutmosis III. But first, what he have done, as he got power, is to destroy the monuments of his sister. He hated this woman because she put him away for 22 years. So, he destroyed her temple in the valley of Thebes West, but here in Thebes East, what should he have done for those two obelisks which was built by her?
Knock them over.
He could not do that. He wanted to do that, but this is the temple of the god Ammon. It's not private temple of you or me, so you should not do that.
You reface them.
Also, you should not do that because
Build a wall around it.
How do you know that?
You can still see something up there, so that no one could see it.
Ah, it's very good. Look at the obelisk itself. Almost 2/3 of the height of the obelisk. You see, the obelisk has two colors. Right? The bottom is brown and the top is lighter. This is the same height of the colonnade hall. He built a wall surround the two obelisks to a certain height, which is the same height of the colonnade hall. So the people from outside, they don't see what he have done with the two obelisks of his sister, because this is the obelisk of the god Ammon, not to the queen, this is to the god. That's why he wanted to destroy them, but at the same time he could not destroy them, so he make walls to a certain height where the obelisk now has two colors, top is light and the bottom is dark. And he took the electrum from the top of the obelisk, so the meaning of the obelisk was already gone. That's what he have done to Moses III. Holy of the holies, the holiest part of the temple was made of granite, many layers above each other. Today, after 3,500 years, you could not a third piece of paper between two blocks of stone. You could not. 35 centuries, and there are 4 layers only of huge blocks of granite, one laid above the other. Even the roof is double roof to isolate the heat from coming down to the Holy of the Holies. Look up to the sky, see beautiful blue sky with shining stars. That's what you should see. The God will look up, translucent roof, and the God should sit on a boat or a bark, sits on this pedestal. Do you remember when God told Noah, I'm going to send a flood destroy the whole earth, except for you and pair of every creature. And the only one which was saved from the flood is Noah, with his ark. The same thing also you see here. I don't try to connect, make it force that the legend is of the history. I just try to make some marks to think about it, see how the history has something to do with the religion. As I told you before, the Holy of the Holies should be the highest part of the temple, right? And I proved to you how high the Nile flood was only since 100 years. It was 2 meter, 0.6, higher than even me. So now we know why the God was always in a boat. Always in a boat. And again, the theory of the eternal water from this water at the island appeared. You can see it here very easily. Stone pedestal. When the Nile flood, all Egypt be submerged with water. The only one who will be saved from the flood is Ark of Noah, or the Ark of the God. And later on, gradually after 4 months, the flood goes down step by step. And the first thing appeared is the island. The island that we spoke about before, above which the birds came and the life started, and the Ark of Noah sat down. And piece by piece, the land is going to appear, because the land of the temple, the floor goes always higher. So the first thing starts is the hill, or the island, and then the water goes down step by step, all the way until the other side. Now we know why the temple is in this form. Okay, let's continue. What we call it offering court. Court of the stone, limestone. That's the difference between the power of the stone. You see here a man standing between two gods. One god is Horus, and the other one is Ibis. And both gods pour the holy water above that king. And instead of the holy water, we see the key of life. The eternal life comes down. That's like baptism. The church, you go to baptize your kids. Also, the two gods baptize the Pharaoh by the holy water, which give him eternal life. This sign, what does it mean, this sign? 24, that is the key of life, which gives eternal life. What's the relationship between the key of the eternal life and this sign? Some people say we have two opinions, two theories. One of them said that it's what?
The Nile River.
Very good. The Nile River. The Nile flows in south-north direction. I'll show you the map. And before the end, it divides in two branches, forming delta and pure in the Mediterranean Sea. And that's the separate line between Upper and Lower Egypt. And
They used to milk the cow, wasn't it? It used to be milk.
This is the Karnak temple, the biggest temple in Egypt.
yeah, I didn't do Interesting.
Good.
What?
TV antenna.
No, I mean, no. Wait a minute, yes. Because when I come in the evening to attack the house, I have to climb to move those reeds, so to make krach, make voice. People in the house will know. I have something today similar, but not of reeds. It's something made of glasses, fragments of glasses. No fiberglass.
Broken glass.
Broken bottles, yeah, that if anyone tried to climb, his hand would be wounded. So, this is a model of a house, and this is a symbol of the security of the house. Some dry leaves on the top. Could you tell me how it look like these leaves when the wind blows up? Going to make a curve, Create a curve. So this is the Egyptian cornice. Remember when I told you that there was some some curve in the top of the temple consists of vertical lines? I told you, tell you why? Because this temple is a house, but the difference is my house made of mud bricks and reeds, and the house of the God made of stone. So which shape should be for that house of the God? The same shape I already use at home, which is walls, and then the top, the reeds of the palm stick in the top, and when the wind blows up, it will make beautiful curve. Now you know what the Egyptian cornice mean? Okay, you're welcome. every house, if you look, if you concentrate by your eyes, you might see the same thing in 3 or 4. Those leaves on the top of the walls are stick. But even today, huh? Look also on the right side here. The same thing on the right side. To the left side, the same thing. The trees at the top.
In amongst all of those stalls.
Australia.
No, thank you.
I know.
This one.
They're worn out.
No,
Here.
here.
Hey.
Here, I'm here.
So this is sort of the little tourist trap of Luxor.
Very cheap. Yes.
That stuff the other night, cheap, that 2 litre bottle was only $3.
No. It's all right.